I will tell you a little bit about myself and how I got involved in market research. First of all, I guess I should say my background. I am Swedish by birth and upbringing, although I have spent my entire career living and working in various countries, both in Europe as well as in Asia and in North America. So I feel a little bit of a polyglot these days. I started off, actually my first job in market research was when I was still at university in Sweden, studying sociology and economics and psychology, and I was working as a qualitative researcher on the side. But after I finished my education, my first positions were in Europe, and they were actually in marketing, where I was a buyer of research. Then when I moved to Asia, I was working actually in market intelligence, helping Scandinavian companies that wanted to enter the Japanese market. And I continued with that for 3 years in Japan. And then I moved to Indonesia, where I was starting to work in management consulting, but I had an opportunity, and that was to start my own market research company there. And that obviously was very exciting at a relatively young age. So I took that opportunity, and I did, but I sold it when I left 3 years later. I left Indonesia to go to the United States. And in the United States, I continued totally in focusing on market research, and my first position was with a company called Roper ASW, which is now actually GfK. And again, the mandate was to build up a global network of associated companies. And I stayed there for about 10 years, 12 years. And then I moved on to another opportunity. Again, I guess I'm a little bit of an entrepreneur in my spirit. And I had an opportunity to start up a global business within the BAI Global company. And so I did. And I sold that company about 7 years later to what became Synovate. It initially was called Aegis PLC, and then it was named Synovate. And I stayed with them for an additional 6 years until 2006, when I started my own business again for the third time, GB Global Positioning, which is a marketing consulting company as well as research. So it's consulting and research. My involvement with Esomar, goes way back. It started in 1981 when I became a member, and I became a national representative for the US in 1995, and I did that for 7 years, and then I have been a council member now for 6 years, and I'm passionate about the Esomar business and Esomar as an organization, and I have certainly enjoyed all of my time with them. The challenges, I think, for the industry for the next 5 years, there are several, and perhaps not necessarily in this order, but I think one is to maintain and develop quality standards on a global scale. I think with new markets opening up and new entrants and new methodologies, I think we have a very large responsibility to make sure that we maintain the quality standards of the research. I think that very much linked to that is the issue of self-regulation. I think we are an industry that we don't have necessarily self-regulation in all countries, and I think that in the more developed countries they have a responsibility to help and encourage newer entrants into the field to develop self-regulation standards. I think another very important challenge for the industry is the respondent cooperation. I think that our poor respondents are becoming bombarded with a lot of demands for their time, and we ask a lot of questions, perhaps not always the most relevant, and I think we need to make sure that we don't waste this very important source that we have. And I think we need to start listening to our consumers. I think we need to embrace new methodologies and listen to the consumers instead of perhaps just asking questions all the time. I think also another important challenge is to educate our own staff. I think that, again, it's an industry that has evolved, and I think that we have a responsibility to educate and train our staff as well as perhaps our clients. Today, a lot of market research is actually being bought by procurement as opposed to by market researchers, and I think that is a very big challenge for the industry that we need to address. Esomar's roles are several. I think that one role is to educate the public about market research, and in particular the difference between market research and direct marketing. I think it is to lobby with governments to make sure we don't get too many restrictions on our industry. I think it is another role for Esomar is to educate and train young researchers. I think that Esomar should be facilitating and encouraging countries and national associations to establish and institute self-regulation. And I think that Esomar's role is also to bring together clients and suppliers to work in partnership on some of these challenges and issues that are facing the industry. So I think those are the top roles. I see the role of the president of Esomar, first of all, to be representing the membership. I think that's the most important. And I think another very important role for the president is to encourage and promote the involvement from all the stakeholders that we have, and that includes, suppliers, clients, of course, national associations and academics. And also I think that it's very important for the president to support, together with the council, the work of the management team. And I think that with my long career in the research business and working globally on both the client side as well as the supplier side, I think that I have the background and experience, and also with Esomar, having been very, very heavily involved with Esomar on program committees and other task force for the last 15 years, I think that I have the experience and background that is needed to fulfill this role. My goals are to strengthen Esomar's global positioning, to strengthen Esomar on a regional basis, to promote more dialogue between the client side and the supplier side, and to get more involvement from all stakeholders to help secure the future of our profession. Those are my goals for this short 2-year period.